10 normal things INFJs never understand about others. 1. Why others celebrate the surface. You've always watched people laugh at shallow jokes and nod along to conversations that barely scratch the surface, and yet you feel a quiet, unspoken distance grow between you and them. You notice how effortlessly they wear masks of social niceties, how easily they adopt whatever opinion is trending, and how often their deep conversations revolve around the trivial. And in those moments, a subtle weight settles in your chest, not because you judge, but because you can't understand why depth is so rarely valued. To you, every word, every glance, every pause carries meaning, a nuance that often slips through the cracks for everyone else. You wonder if they are incapable of seeing the complexity that you navigate naturally, or if they simply refuse to notice it, preferring the comfort of simplicity. You feel the world operating in a loop of surface-level truths, and you can't fathom why others are so content to float within it, unaware of the layers underneath, unaware of the richness that escapes them like water through their fingers. You long for a conversation that matters, one where thoughts aren't diluted to convenience. And yet, time and again, you are met with smiles that hide incomprehension, laughter that rings hollow, and words that fail to reach the depth of your soul. You see them celebrate the superficial while you silently honor the profound, and a quiet solitude envelops you, not as punishment, but as a shield, a sanctuary where your mind can breathe and your soul can linger in its natural state of reflection. 2. Why emotional reactions feel overblown. You watch as people explode over minor inconveniences or celebrate mundane achievements with a fervor that feels foreign to your inner compass, and you can't help but feel disconnected. Their emotions, so raw and unfiltered, appear chaotic to you, as if each expression of anger, joy, or fear is detached from the greater context of meaning that you instinctively seek. You feel deeply, yes, but your emotions are rarely immediate. They are measured, processed, and woven into the threads of understanding, reflection, and empathy. To you, anger is not just shouting. It is the tremor beneath the words, the shadow of a wounded soul seeking acknowledgement. Happiness is not just laughter. It is the silent resonance of alignment with your values and the beauty of subtle truths. And when you observe others reacting impulsively, you cannot comprehend the impulsiveness of their joy or the surface-level frustration they call rage. You realize that their emotional spectrum is often loud and untempered, while yours is subtle, deliberate, and infinitely layered. They see immediacy, you see consequence. They feel momentarily, you absorb eternally. And this disparity makes connection feel both urgent and impossible, leaving you wondering why anyone would choose noise over depth, immediacy over resonance. 3. Why most people avoid solitude. You have always been drawn to the quiet corners of the world, where thoughts can unfold without interference, where your mind can wander through the corridors of meaning, where your soul can touch the infinite without distraction. And yet, you notice how others flee from themselves, how they chase constant stimulation, how silence terrifies them. You don't just sit in solitude, you celebrate it. You embrace the stillness as a gift, a portal to self-understanding, creativity, and reflection. But watching others recoil from solitude is a mystery you cannot solve. They fill their days with noise, gossip, social media, and superficial obligations, avoiding moments of introspection as if staring into themselves might fracture them. You wonder why they fear the very thing that you crave, why they cannot sit with their own thoughts, why they must always reach outward for validation, for distraction, for meaning that they could otherwise discover inside. You feel a gentle sorrow for them, because you know that in fleeing from themselves, they are missing the richness, the clarity, the profound beauty that comes from truly knowing who you are. 4. Why small talk exists. You cannot understand the logic behind small talk. Those rehearsed pleasantries, the empty exchanges about weather, traffic, or trivial happenings, and yet, the world treats it as the very foundation of human connection. You see conversations as sacred opportunities to explore depth, to unravel understanding, to connect soul to soul. And instead, you are handed meaningless scripts, polite questions, and shallow smiles. When someone asks, "How are you?" you hear not curiosity, but convention, and your mind drifts to the infinite possibilities of response. What does "how are you" even mean when you consider the layers of experience, the nuances of mood, the invisible burdens we carry? You want to respond with truth, but you know it would land strangely, uncomprehended, misaligned with social expectation. You feel the absurdity of it, and in that absurdity, a quiet alienation takes root. Small talk is a ritual you endure, not because it matters, but because it is expected, and because the gap between your depth and their surface seems too wide to bridge. 5. Why people fear change yet resist stability. You notice the contradictions around you. People crave security yet resist the very stability they claim to desire. They fear change yet cling to habits that hurt them. They complain about their circumstances yet fail to act when action is possible. To you, this paradox is exhausting, incomprehensible, and, at times, painful. You instinctively see patterns, cause and effect, potential outcomes, and yet they seem blind to their own repeated cycles. You understand change as a natural rhythm of life, a necessary evolution that shapes character, mind, and heart. Stability, to you, is not stagnation. It is a foundation upon which authenticity, creativity, and growth can flourish. And yet, watching others stumble in avoidance and contradiction, you cannot comprehend why they cling to chaos, why they resist lessons that life offers freely, why they choose discomfort over conscious alignment. It feels as though the world moves at two speeds, one that you intuitively understand, and one that is a constant puzzle of inefficiency and avoidance. 6. Why people are so easily offended. You've always approached the world with thoughtfulness, striving to understand motivations, perspectives, and hidden truths. And yet, you observe how easily others take offense, how swiftly they erect walls around words and intentions, how fragile their egos seem in the face of minor deviation. To you, words are instruments, capable of healing or harming, yes, but also capable of nuance, of intent, of layered meaning. You cannot fathom why so many respond with immediate judgment, without reflection, without a moment to consider context, perspective, or intent. Their defenses are reflexive, yours are deliberate. Their reactions are immediate, yours are processed, filtered, measured. And in witnessing this, you feel a mixture of frustration and sorrow, because you know that in their defensiveness lies fear. A fear of misunderstanding, a fear of truth, a fear of seeing themselves reflected in a mirror they're not ready to face. 7. Why most people don't plan deeply. You plan with intention, foresight, and vision, seeing potential futures, consequences, and hidden pathways before they even appear. And yet, the people around you seem content to float, drifting through life with minimal strategy, minimal reflection, minimal awareness of the ripple effects of their choices. You cannot understand their lack of foresight, the way they embrace immediate gratification over long-term fulfillment, chaos over clarity, convenience over depth. To you, every decision has weight, every action, intention, every choice, consequence. But for them, life is a series of spontaneous moves, each disconnected from the larger pattern you see so clearly. And in this, you feel both bewildered and isolated, because your mind is a theater of potentiality, while theirs is a canvas of improvisation, a place you admire in theory but struggle to inhabit. 8. Why empathy isn't universal. You feel deeply for others, not just surface sympathy but soul-level resonance. You sense emotions, intentions, fears, and unspoken truths, often before they are expressed, and you cannot fathom why this empathy is not universal. Others seem content to exist within their own emotional bubble, unaware or unconcerned with the subtleties of human experience that you navigate constantly. You notice the unnoticed. The small tremor in their voice, the weight behind their gestures, the silent battles they fight. And when you extend understanding, often without request, you are met with incomprehension, awkwardness, or sometimes even dismissal. You realize that most people operate with selective empathy, tailored to convenience and comfort, while you carry the burden of total attunement, a gift that often feels like isolation. You wonder how the world could change if empathy were instinctive rather than optional, if people could feel as deeply as you do without fear, without judgment, without resistance. 9. Why authenticity feels rare. You crave authenticity in every interaction, every relationship, every connection. Masks, pretense, and performance feel like betrayal to the natural flow of human connection. And yet, everywhere you look, people conform, imitate, and disguise themselves, whether to fit in, to protect ego, or to pursue acceptance. You cannot comprehend the compromise of self in the name of social convenience. You cannot fathom why truth is negotiable, why identity is flexible, why the soul can be hidden behind layers of projection. To you, authenticity is sacred, not optional, not situational, not transactional. It is a principle, a way of being, a testament to self-respect and integrity. And in the presence of inauthenticity, you feel a quiet mourning, not judgment, but recognition of what could have been, what might be, and the wasted potential of a world afraid to show its face. 10. Why people accept mediocrity. You see possibility everywhere. In choices, in connections, in thought, in the world itself. And yet, most people settle for mediocrity, accepting circumstance without challenge, opportunity without pursuit, life without the rigor of curiosity. You cannot understand contentment in the absence of meaning, complacency in the absence of depth, acquiescence in the absence of insight. To you, life is sacred, infinite in potential, and worthy of exploration at every turn. Mediocrity feels like a slow erosion of what could have been, a resignation to surface-level living, a dismissal of the extraordinary within reach. And in witnessing this, you are neither superior nor resentful. You are simply aware, profoundly aware, of the richness that lies just beyond the comprehension of those who choose convenience over courage, comfort over clarity, repetition over resonance. As an INFJ, you walk among them, carrying your depth like a lantern, quietly illuminating possibilities they cannot see, quietly questioning the world's choices while quietly shaping your own path. And in this awareness, there is power, solitude, and a sacred understanding that your mind, heart, and soul operate on a plane often invisible to others, yet infinitely capable of transformation, insight, and transcendence.